Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to George Pickens versus the world. This was a video that was recommended by my friend Clay. I appreciate the recommendation because I think it's a great idea. And for those who don't know what these videos are, I'm going to be taking George Pickens and comparing him against the rest of the receivers in the league, saying if I would take the people over or not over George Pickens. Pretty simple concept. So, plug of the day, don't forget to use code WyattzWorld at sign up on Prize Picks. You're going to guarantee yourself to win a free $50 with your first $5 entry. But as always, please remember to play responsibly, and let's get into the video. Okay, so as always, before we actually get into the ranking, I just like to preview the player, know who we're talking about for those who aren't too familiar. So George Pickens, in his career, has had 247 receptions for 3,983 yards and 20 touchdowns in not even 4 full years of playing. This year, he's having a career year, 73 receptions, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, averaging 15.6 yards a reception. He's averaging 95 yards a game. He's one of the most explosive parts of that Dallas offense. But where does he rank up against the rest? So that'll bring us to the official list. Like I said, extremely self-explanatory up here, and for the receivers that I'm doing, I pretty much just went through and sorted out all the ones that, I mean, were at least worth talking about. A lot of the people down here, it's just a no-brainer. Anyway, beginning, we have Terry McLaurin. No, if you would ask me a year ago, probably. Well, obviously, he had that really big year with a lot of touchdowns last year, but Terry, he's a good receiver, but I don't think he's as physically gifted as George Pickens, and Terry's also pushing 30 years old, or he is 30 years old at this point. Now we got Debo, obviously not. King of Fleece right there. I mean, Debo's not a bad receiver by any means, but he's still living off of his reputation from his one outlier season where he had like 1,400 yards. He has never, ever been close to that guy again. Calvin Ridley, no. Speak of a guy who really built a reputation off of one outlier year too, Calvin Ridley. Chris Godwin, no. Good, reliable, consistent, and he's also only played like 10 games over the last 2 seasons. Emeka Egbuka, no. He'll be really good in a couple years here. Not that he already, isn't, but he ain't George Pickens. Mike Evans, no. Asked me a year ago, probably still would have done it, but not only has Pickens just been a better receiver than Mike Evans, but we now have the argument against Evans that his health is probably not what it once was, and that guy's also pushing senior citizenship. JSN, yeah, not too much thought has to go into it when selecting a guy that's on pace to beat Kelvin Johnson's receiving record. Well, he probably isn't now after the game with the Vikings, but JSN, in my opinion, he's a top 5 receiver in football. He can probably be argued as a top 3 right now. Dude, he fucking torches people. It's insane to watch him. Marvin Harrison Jr., no. Inconsistent, underwhelming. Not saying he still doesn't have time to turn into an absolute superstar, but I'm also very much saying that so far he's not even been close to it. Juwan Jennings, no. He is also apparently a hoe, at least according to someone on the Browns. Now we've got Brandon Ayuk, a guy who has requested a trade after demanding and getting the money he wanted and not playing. What the fuck is wrong with this guy, dude? Absolutely not taking him over Pickens. And Brandon Ayuk's being a damn clown. If I was San Francisco, I'd never pay a wide receiver again, because the second you do, man, it just goes right to hell. Now we've got, I have a Christmas story on in the living room right now, and they're playing the I Wish You a Merry Christmas song. Can somebody tell me what the fuck a figgy pudding is? We wish you a figgy pudding, we wish you a figgy pudding. What the fuck is a figgy pudding? Figgy pudding was a traditional steamed cake made with dried fruits, spices, and sometimes alcohol, not necessarily containing figs, and was similar to modern Christmas pudding. Ugh, I don't know about that, guys. Well, now I know. Now we've got Ricky Pearsall. No, to be honest, I forgot he was even in the league. I haven't heard his name in like fucking 3 months. Drake London. Hey. Oh, that one's about as close to flipping a coin as it can possibly get. I think I'm gonna side with London, though. I think he's got some just unbelievable hands. I think he's great at running his routes. I think his body control is fantastic. Don't shoot me for that one. It's just a preference. Zay Flowers. No. You're out of your fucking mind. DK Metcalf. No. Speak of someone I haven't heard of in a couple months here. DK Metcalf. Very, very underwhelming year for him, and he just doesn't look as fast. He doesn't look as dominant as he once did, and he's not that old. D-Hop, 12 years ago. Keon Coleman. No, but I will give him a little bit of credit and say he's an impactful player. He is. He's a physical, impactful player that comes up when the Bills really need him to in certain situations, but other than that, he's been pretty underwhelming. Khalil Shakir. No. I love my boys, but they're just not even close. DJ Moore. No. Is it just me, me, or does he seem like an attitudinal prick to you guys? Like, he just comes off to me as a prick. Romo Dunze, no, and he had a really, really hot start to the season, and he just hasn't been that impactful as of late, and I don't know what's going on with him either. It's kind of sad. Ted McMillan, no, but he is going to be very good for a very long time. He's fast as shit. He's super tall. I call him the Slender Man. Now we've got Jamar Chase, who's probably the wide receiver one in football at the moment. Yeah, I'm going to take him over Pickens. He's a demon. I do think he is also a jackass, though, and that's before the spitting incident. I just think he's incredibly arrogant. T. Higgins, no. Jerry Jeudy, absolutely not. He is the furthest thing from George Pickens. Jerry Jeudy sucks, and he sucks as a person. There has been drama surrounding him since he came into the league. He's got an attitude, he's got a temper, and he's also been targeted 80 times this year, only hauling in 35 of those passes. CeeDee Lamb, yeah, I would still take him over Pickens. CeeDee's also a top 5 receiver. He is electric. He is so shifty. He is so fast. He'll make a really stupid mistake like once a year, but other than that, he's pretty lights out. Cortland Sutton, no. Jameson Williams, no. However, I should say I think it's worth noting that Jameson Williams had probably like the greatest career rebirth that I've seen in recent history. Sam Darnold being up there too, trust me. But after the second stint with Jameson Williams, after the suspension, or maybe it was the injury, I can't remember which one came first, I thought he was done. I thought he was cooked. I thought he was one of those guys that would just be lost in depth charts the rest of his career. Now we've got Amon-Ra. I'll take him above Pickens. It's closer than people care to admit, but I'm not going to discredit the year that St. Brown's having, even though it's probably not as good as Pickens. And I'm also not going to discredit the last 3 seasons where he's been absolutely dominant, having over 100 receptions and 1,000 yards in each of them. Jaden Reed, no. Now we have Matthew Golden, the game-changing first-round pick that Green Bay has, right? I'll just leave that with a no. Romeo Doubs, no. Christian Watson's not on here, but he would also be a no. Nico Collins. Hot take of the video, I don't think I would take him over Pickens right now, and I still am under the impression that Nico Collins, he's a great player. I think he's a little overrated. And also to back that up, he's just not been statistically as good as he has been in recent years either. Catch percentage way down, success rate way down. I think at this moment, I'm gonna roll with Pick. Michael Pittman Jr., no. Although he's had a little bit of a weird year. His yards and receptions aren't the highest that they've ever been, but Michael Pittman has had more touchdowns than he's ever had in his career in a single year. Alec Pierce, no. Brian Thomas Jr., no, and I don't know what the living hell happened to this guy either. He just kind of sucks. Now I've got both him and Jacoby Myers on fantasy, and I have to decide who to start because last week I started Thomas and I lost because of it, but Wyatt Luck is gonna hit, and I'm gonna start Myers, and now he's gonna go off. I'm fucked. Xavier Worthy, no. Rashee Rice, no. Rashee is very good though. He makes a massive impact on that team. Like seriously, the entire offense performs better when he's there. Hollywood Brown, no. Jacoby Myers, no. Quentin Johnston, no, but a nice year for him compared to where I thought his career was going to. That's got to be one of the most wonderful feelings, though. You know, struggling in the NFL and then, you know, later solidifying yourself as a player in the league. Lad McConkey, no, but I think he's a lot better than his statistics right now are showing on the year. It's been kind of just a weird year. The receiving has really been dispersed through a committee. I think Lad's a lot closer to Pickens than this list would make you believe. He's very quick. The guy runs like he's playing Madden in real life. I think he is a #1 receiver in the NFL. Now we've got Puka Nacua. Yeah, one of the most mis-scouted players in NFL history. The 5th round pick. Like what the hell was that? Devonta Adams, not anymore, just due to the fact that he's ancient, but the guy has 14 touchdowns on the year, and I don't want that to be forgotten. Tyreek Hill, no, I wouldn't anymore. He was already on the descent. Now he just had a horrible injury. Not saying he can't be good again, but I'm not gonna risk taking him over George Pickens in 2025. Jalen Waddle, no. Probably closer than people think, at least for me. I think Jalen Waddle is a superb athlete, a superb receiver. Got some of the best footwork in the league, but it just hasn't been displaying the talent Pickens has, and I blame part of that on him being in a very awful situation. Now we got Jordan Addison, who I'm starting to just think is the laziest fucking receiver in football at this point. To me, it looks like he gives up on his routes. He takes his eye off the ball, and when he does actually make a big play, his ass gets hawked down. That would never happen in the rookie year of Jordan Addison. I just don't think he really gives a shit to be here anymore. Justin Jefferson, yeah, he's better than George Pickens. I still think he's top 3 in the league. It's just this year, and this is a valid excuse to anybody who has eyeballs. He does not have a fucking chance. He has not had a quarterback a single week. He has had JJ, Carson Wentz, and Max Brasmer. Which, by the way, Carson Wentz was injured the entirety of the time, and JJ McCarthy, he just sucks at his job. Stephon Diggs, no. Although he's having a very underrated year too. Like, he's one of those guys that ain't gonna be the guy on your team unless he is needed to be, and he will be, but he's more so just a playmaker. Chris Olave, no. Malik Neighbors, I would take him over Pickens. I know we haven't seen as much out of Malik Neighbors, but from what we have seen out of Malik Neighbors, I think he's a generational talent. Every single play, whether he's targeted or not, man, he looks like he is shot out of a cannon. The way he can shift and turn his body and change speeds and get up in the air, it's like alien-like. Garrett the Carrot Wilson, you know what? I'm a fan of Garrett, I really am. And he's also a guy that's really never had a chance, and he's always been good. I don't think I'd take him over Pickens, but that one also, to me, is that's neck and neck. I really do think Garrett Wilson is an elite receiver. Slim Reaper, no. Fantastic receiver, but I don't think he's that caliber. This one will shock some people, but I would still take AJ Brown. AJ Brown, it's so difficult with him right now because of the year and years he's been having. And you know, people have the right to question it, but then when you actually see him get targets, he reminds everybody instantaneously who the fuck he is. That one's really tough, and I understand if I get shit for it, but I would still right now trust AJ Brown. I still think he is that guy. And that is also where I am going to cut it for the day, ladies and gentlemen. My math checks out. I have George Pickens currently ranked as the 10th receiver in the NFL, and I think as of how he's been playing this year, that's more than validated. And I wouldn't argue with any of you guys if you even placed him higher. Anyway, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Show appreciation if you enjoyed it. Clay, thank you for the awesome recommendations. If you guys have recommendations for future videos like this, please let me know. However, in the meantime, I'm going to hop off and get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the game tonight. Stay warm if you're in Minnesota. It is brutal out here, and I will see you guys in the next video.